motion carried. All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes for March the 5th and March the 16th? The financial docket, docket claims 58124 through 58340, administrative docket, school activity funds, financial statement, and the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the minutes from March 5th, 2026, March 16th, 2026, financial docket, district docket claims 58124, 58340, administrative docket, financial statement, and consent agenda.
And I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that brings us to, new business. Dr. Smith?
All right, thank you. First item under new
Can you make
business.
sure we put on the record, I did not vote for the consent agenda.
Yes, we will. I'd moved the microphone and just for record, Mr. Jackson did not vote on the consent agenda. Okay, sorry about that,
That's
Dr.
all right,
Smith.
yes, sir. The first item under new business, superintendent recommends approval of the 2024-2025 financial audit. I believe you have copies of that, blue binder. Just a quick note, there were no findings, so we're very pleased with Ms. Griffin and her job that she's done and her staff. Ms. Griffin, would you like to say a few words about that?
Yes, I would. My staff is absolutely wonderful. I'll keep every one of them for as long as they will stay here. And, they help tremendously and get everything done. We have very cooperative auditors that work with us. That's why we continue to keep them on contract. So it was a really hard audit. There's nothing easy about these things. They go on for months. But, we were proud to get that report because they are few and far between in the state.
Thank you for your hard work.
Yeah. All right, so we need to approve that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so to have a motion that we approve the superintendent's recommendation for the 24-25 financial audit report.
Motion that we approve the superintendent recommend approval of the 2024-2025 financial audit report.
And I second that.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you. The next item is letter B, proposed budget amendments for emergency repairs and insurance recovery. I'll just say a few words about this and I'll let Tina kind of address something. This is all being done under our current budget, so we've not had to go into fund balance or anything like that. So Tina is just shifting some money around that we have not spent. One, for example, is a teacher unit that we didn't utilize. But I had this in my notes for the superintendent's items of discussion, but I'll go ahead and mention it here. One of the line items, if you recall, is the roughly $88,000, $90,000 that we were going to use to purchase the land. And then the board decided, I don't recall if the board voted on this or not, but I think we had an agreement that we would divert those dollars to the parking lot where the gravel is located. So at some point, we're gonna have to come back and revisit and get that money in our new budget for next year because we're going to, upon your vote and approval, move those dollars into the emergency repairs. We've not gotten a settlement from insurance yet, so some of that will be offset with the insurance. So I'll let Tina kind of address that, if you would.
I think he did a good job addressing that. The reason we have to come before the board is because when y'all approve this thing that y'all have to sign, y'all do it by function, and these are different functions. These are for purchase of land and instructional, and in order for us to use them for emergency repairs, we have to move it to 2000s, which is a maintenance and support services. So we have to do it officially through the board to do that. We have no idea if these numbers are, we're gonna need 220. We don't have no idea if they're gonna give us 110. This is just estimates at this time. But it allows us to go ahead and spend it because as these purchase orders are coming across, we have no money in maintenance to do this. So this allows us to go ahead and keep up with the purchases as they come in.
And just for clarity, we're not broke in maintenance, we just don't have enough to cover the repairs. So, the point that I would like to stress is that we're able to do this with our current dollars. So that's a testament to Ms. Griffin and us being able to balance our budget and spend less than we need to. So these dollars are already there, so that's a very good thing. Otherwise, we'd be asking to dip into fund balance.
So is that $222,000, that was what the total to repair all the damages?
No.
No, ma'am.
This is money that we found to put toward the damages. We don't have a total of damages at this time.
I got you.
We've got estimates, Mr. Hallmark is steady, doing purchase orders, getting quotes. We're just found $220,000 that we can use for emergency repairs. We do not have a number at this time.
Okay, I got you.
We feel like insurance will help us a lot toward the damages, but we don't know how much yet, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We're using the number 100,000.
Sure.
That's what we're hoping for, at the very least.
There's just a lot of unknowns right now, but, so in order to issue purchase orders, we have to have money available to do that, and we're just moving this to keep things going.
Okay.
So we can issue the purchase orders.
So do I have a motion that we approve the proposed budget amendments for emergency repairs and insurance recovery?
I motion that we approve the proposed budget amendments for emergency repairs and insurance recovery.
I second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And it's unanimous, all right.
All right, letter C, and I'll let Tina explain the difference between B and C. The superintendent requests approval of the 25-26 amended budget. And I believe we're just doing this, you just approved to move the money, now you're approving the amendment, is that correct?
Yes, correct. This is your budget that we get done. We usually don't have to sign these during the year, but these are major changes. So we are gonna go ahead and sign this, it says have it an official, amended budget for 25-26, because these are major moves. So this is just approving the paperwork and the actual budget for what y'all did in item B. And I'll get y'all signatures for you.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation for the request and approval for the 25-26 amended budget?
I motion that, we approve the recommendation of the superintendent, request approval of the 2025-2026 amended budget.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried.
All right, you ready to proceed, Mr. White?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, superintendent's items of discussion. I do want to just give you some reminders before we get into the dual enrollment discussion. Obviously, we're in state testing season, so that has already began, and we're in full mode there over the next several weeks. Remind you of your budget hearing on June the 25th, and remind you of your budget approval on July the 2nd. That is your same July board meeting date. Your retreat, again, is June 15th and 16th. And please do not forget to complete your statement of economic interest if you've not already done that. If you have difficulty doing that, just call us and we'll try to walk you through that process. So just those reminders there. Just a brief update on the stadium. We have extended the substantial completion date to June the 3rd. That will be before the board next month. So Mr. Hallmark had a meeting today with the construction folks. That was today, right? So we're in agreement with that. Most of that, I think, is weather related, as well as some changes that we've requested. Nothing that has increased the budget, but just moving fences from one place to another and kind of changing our mind. But we should be well prepared and ready for football season. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so just that update for you on football. And again, I just encourage the board to just want to remind you that we're going to have to come back and revisit that parking lot.
Yeah.
We don't want to open up a new stadium and not address that. So I think that's going to be important. We'll make sure that we include that in our budget for next year, but we'll obviously include you in on all those discussions. All right, yes, ma'am.
What about the bleacher situation? Have we covered that, or we're gonna have to try to find out how we're gonna pay for those, or what?
On
The bleachers? Yeah,
The additional ones you mentioned
Additional
to
Oh,
us?
yes, I can update you on that, thank you. That was in regard to the band, we're talking about the same thing. We did propose that, to the band director, to take that back to his band boosters to see if they would be willing to, contribute to that. The reason, that I think, in my mind, we were requesting that was because in both baseball and softball facilities, their booster club contributed to the cost of somewhere around $50,000 apiece. They have decided that they would rather purchase new band instruments, and Mr. Boulware has, agreed that we will go into this football season. He will sit in the stands, and then, we'll go from there. If he likes where he is, then he'll stay where he is. Those bleachers were going to be about $150,000 to accommodate about, roughly 150 to 170 band students. So those bleachers, obviously were not in the budget. So what he wanted us to at least look at was looking at a separate bleacher, section from the band. But at this point, he's agreed that we'll just go with what we got now. And we'll have plenty of seating. I don't think that's gonna be the issue. His preference, I think, would have been to be by himself, with the band. Did that answer your question?
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions on that? All right, very good.
Not on that, but I have another question now.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the time to ask it or not.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask about the update on the 98 property that, what we were talking to Cindy
Okay,
Rivers.
I can give you an update on that.
Okay.
As we speak now, I've received no notice that any funding, has been, provided from the legislature on that. So that's not to say, they've not convened yet, I don't think, or gone into, is convene the right word?
Mhm.
They've not left the session yet, so that still may be a possibility, but as we speak now, I've received no update that the dollars have been allocated, or any dollars for that matter. So he was going to start small, and I don't think they've actually done that deal yet, where they pump those dollars back into the local communities for those type projects. But I've not got any indication that we would be a part of any dollars.
So where we are, our plans are before them or something, and we're
Yes.
just waiting on help to fund it. Is
That's
that-
correct.
Okay.
If you recall, a while back, you took board action to, divert about $15,000 to, the design,
Mhm.
and that type thing, so that they could take something that was more concrete to the legislature. So that's been done. So now we're just arguing for the dollars.
The money.
Correct.
So is that
Now,
something we should also contact our representatives about and speak to them as well?
You certainly could, to see, if that bill is, where that bill is, and
Yeah.
what bill that those dollars.
Cause we don't speak up, then I'm not.
Right.
Joseph Parker, is he the one that's
Joseph Parker,
pushing this?
In essence, he's
for us?
lobbying on our behalf.
Okay.
Right.
That's kind of part of what the agreement we had with Joseph on that, so.
Okay.
I'm thinking if each one of us can contact our representatives as well, because the more you talk, then, but if you don't say anything, then you're not gonna do anything, pretty much.
And, just as a reminder, the name of his, organization is Scenic Rivers.
Scenic
Rivers.
Yeah, so if you do make those calls, you can make reference to that. Okay. Now, Ms. Tappan, to further answer your question, the district has not spent any dollars out there,
Mhm.
just sitting back waiting to see
What will happen with
what
them?
would happen with them.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. If the board's ready to move on, we'll move, to dual enrollment discussion. Ms. Taplin, and I had a brief conversation this morning. Mr. Cedric and I, Mr. Collins and I have talked about this quite a bit. So Ms. Taplin, or Mr. White, I'll turn this over to you, and we're here to answer whatever questions that we may be able to answer for you. And
Okay.
try to give you some numbers. Tina has some, dollar amount, prepared as well. I think I'm gonna use the $20,000 number, somewhere around $20,000 a year is what the district pays towards tuition. So we'll just start with that, and then we can tell you how many kids we have enrolled in dual credit. So I think we can answer just about any question that you may have.
Thank you. So to catch everyone up, I spoke with Ms. Etta a couple of days ago, and she said that she thinks she may know some ways that we might could increase our scores a little bit through some adjustments to dual enrollment. but any adjustments we make obviously may cost money. So anyway, we just wanna talk about options that we may have that would help us with our, test scores. So Ms. Etta, if you will take it from here and speak to it for
Okay,
us.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
Bradley, hold on one second, guys. I'm going to get off now because of a possible conflict of interest. So,
Okay.
I'm actually just gonna get off the call. I think we'll be fine.
I think this is the last thing we have, Mr. Jackson, so that's fine.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you. All have a good night.
All right.
Two.
All right, he's off.
Alright, so, just a lot of back and forth conversation about how we can come up with extra points to help us, because as it currently stands with our numbers, it's where they are. And Mr. Collins, you can attest to this and help with this as well. If our children were to take 2 classes for dual enrollment as opposed to 1 class, and not saying that we're not gonna offer 1 class, but if we can get some of our kids to take 2 classes, we will get extra points. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay, can you talk a little bit too about that as well? You were gonna say something, Dr. J?
Yes, ma'am. I did look that up and kind of researched that, this afternoon, because, you can read this 100 times and come out 100 different ways.
Mhm.
And I'll have this copy for the board, so, I made a couple of notes here that, along your point. If I'm reading this correctly, I'm gonna give you an example, and this is directly from MDE and their documents. Student A, and this is to your point, Ms. Taplin, is an 11th grader. Let's suppose that individual, that student takes 3 dual credit courses and passes all 3, so they're enrolled in 3. We get 1 point for participation. So you don't get additional points because they're in additional classes, but you do get, if they pass all 3, additional points under the performance portion of it. All right, for example, let's say that you have a kid who takes 1 dual credit class, you get a point because they're sitting in the dual credit class and make a C. And then you get a point for performance, all right? All right, but if that same student takes an additional class, dual credit class, the 1 point under participation doesn't increase. What increases is the points under the performance if they pass the class with a C, and that's 1/10 of a point. So you would get 1 point for participation and 1.1 points for performance. So, Ms. Taplin, what I've tried to do is, okay, in my mind, and y'all please tell me where this may be wrong, our first priority, I think, to get the most points, if that's where we're headed, is to get the kids who don't have any dual enrollment courses at all. Because they're sitting in our building and we're getting no points at all. But if we can get them in dual credit, we can get that point for them, assuming they make a C or higher, right?
Mhm.
But if we get, it would take 10 kids taking multiple courses, because you're only gonna get that 0.1 each time, right?
So if they
So-
take 4 classes, do they get 0.3, 1.3, or no?
No, that you max out.
At 1.1?
All right, let me see if I can answer that with this example, okay? All right, student B is a 12th grader. Supposing that student takes 2 dual credit courses and 2 AP courses and passes all 4. So
Okay.
they've passed all dual credit, both dual credits, they passed both AP exams. How many participation points do we get for that? Just 1.
Okay.
Okay, they're in 4 classes, but we get 1 participation point. But on the performance, we get 4.3, and we're not getting the 0.1 for all 4. I think they're capping it at 0.3. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right, so I'm gonna pass this out to you so that you'll know I didn't make this up. So this is directly from MDE in the latest slideshow that they have out there. So, Mr. Collins, you want to pass it? Yes, yes, sir. Now, Ms. Taplin, I don't know if that confused everybody or not, but I think, to your point, we do need to do something to increase our participation in dual credit, or dual enrollment rather. But maybe our priority should be to get the kids who don't have any dual credit at all now. And then the second priority would be those who are just taking one, we want them to take another one, right? Instead of reversing those priorities, because we're gonna get the point that those kids are sitting there. Have I confused the situation?
How many children do we have enrolled into enrollment now?
All right, dual enrollment, we have a total, this is not kids, this is classes, right?
Well, that's classes, that's your kids on your first semester, second semester.
Okay, so right, first semester we had 69, and second semester we had 110. Now, some of those kids are gonna be, in more than one.
Right, I would assume that most that do one in the fall may do one in the spring. Is that a good assumption?
Good, yes, ma'am. Now, some of you, especially next year, they do as many as possible.
I know.
We do.
I know.
Do we have any children that take 2 classes in the same semester?
Yes, we do.
If they finish their schedule,
That's what I'm
they-
saying.
Mine too.
So if they're taking the class in the same semester, is that what you're saying, that we only get the 1 point for the
Yes, ma'am.
participation?
I don't think
and
it
then we get
matters,
one-
when they take it,
See, cause I was thinking it
in the
was
same-
in the
same year.
sit in the same semester.
It does, regardless of when they take it, when it's calculated at the end of their senior, we get points for them for taking it. It's no matter if it's the same semester, same year, we gonna get that point, for them regardless of when they do it, and then you get the extra points, of course, with the, performance. But it doesn't matter if it's the same semester or whatever, because it's not gonna count, it's not gonna matter to them. Just be-
Read-
And the
read
performance is if they
9.7.
pass.
So with your dual credit, the performance is they have to score at least a C in the dual credit.
Right.
Okay.
AP, they have to pass AP exam with a 3.
But you get the participation whether they pass or not.
No, they have to pass it in order to get participation.
Yes.
Okay, so they're tied together with the passing of a C or the 3.
If they take a dual credit class and don't get a C or higher, we're not gonna get anything for them.
I got you.
And Ms. Richard, I may have misled you on that, but, in my scenario, I'm just assuming that if you're sitting in dual credit class, you're gonna at least make a C.
Yeah.
I would think so.
If not, we may need to look at that again
Let's go back to
too.
3, on the AP side. Can I read this for you?
Mhm.
And let's see if this may go to one of Ms. Taplin's comments. This is 9.7, and this is the business rule for the accountability model. In the calculation of participation, students who take an accelerated course during their 11th grade year, but do not take an accelerated course during their 12th grade year, will be counted in the denominator both years, but in the numerator during their 11th grade year only.
You
Don't ask
changing
me.
for that.
Don't ask me to explain that in too great detail.
So,
Tina, could you help us with
Yeah,
that?
she would have.
All right, help me with what I said again. I had to take.
Hang on, do you want me to show you this?
9.7.
Can you just mathematically help me?
Okay.
We're talking about denominators and numerators.
you only get the credit.
Yeah, you're only getting credit for the 11th grade.
That's it.
Yeah.
Your
For
expert,
participation.
Mr. Collins said.
Yeah, our mathematician's not here tonight, so.
Hmm?
They're not in the class.
Okay, so what do y'all want to do?
But
It's
it's-
11th and 12th grade part in that.
It doesn't
one
take
saying.
points away from us, we just don't get the points. The
That's
12th grade
that's
year.
correct.
They don't subtract anything from us.
So if they sit in the class the 11th grade year, and they sit in a class in the 12th grade year, do we get a point?
That's what I don't know.
A point for each class is the way I understood. I may
See,
be.
that's what I was thinking.
Yes, I believe that's right, assuming they pass it.
Right, so we get a point for every class that they pass.
But what does it mean that they don't
Well-
get it in the numerator? I don't, that's the part I don't get, is that last little clause.
And if they don't get it in the numerator part, in the way interpreting
That's
this
on
is
this
because
call.
they did not sit in that class at that time, so you're not increasing the number. Only in the denominator part will we get, your bottom number, will we get the counted twice, so to speak. Not the first time, not in the numerator side part, because of the first, you're not sitting there, actually.
And that numerator, that's enrollment, that's, all of your kids are in the numerator.
They don't get counted the year they took it. The year that they sat there in the class, they're going to take, they're gonna get counted.
Miss Accountant, can you explain these math?
This was written by an educator.
We hope so.
Is this gonna help?
I don't know.
Well,
Is that not right? Because that's the
So
way I
that'd be
was.
like if you took a dual credit class in your 11th grade year, and then say your senior year, they're just early release and not taking any.
Right.
Does that hurt us?
I think the answer is yes.
Yes, because you're not
Yes.
getting a
So not
point for
only do we
being-
need them to take it their junior year, we need to encourage, incentivize them to take
Take
it
it
Correct.
their senior year.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that,
That's
Yeah.
right.
that would help us.
Right, that's
But
exactly right.
If they don't take it both years,
It's not a big help.
so there needs to be some,
So this is where I was coming up with the incentive to, if we say we were to pay for them, to incentivize this, is to say, pay for that second year with the stipulation that you gotta sign like you signed the promissory note, cause Dr. Smith and I talked about this, is they have to pass it, they have to stay in the class. You can't drop the class. If you drop the class, then you're responsible for paying back to the district the money that the district paid for.
how does that work now if a student drops a class?
I looked at that.
Well, Mr. Collins, you wanna answer that? How does it work now when the student drops the class? Cause we've had that
I'm sure.
this year.
So when the student drops the class, in our handbook, it says that, if I'm not mistaken, it says they're supposed to pay it back. If that's what it says, and what we've done, we would count that as like, all students have to pay their
The
fines
senior fees and stuff.
before they can complete, and that would be considered a fee or a fine that they have to take care of before. That's how it's listed in the handbook, this is in the handbook now. That if they, don't do their part, they have to pay any part that the district paid, they have to.
That would be the only way to get our money back, but but that works.
Right, and then, Dr. Smith and I had
Does it work
said,
for juniors though? Because they're not voting.
if you,
The fines and fees carry your whole high school year.
Yeah.
right,
We
so
can't-
if they were not to pay it, we have this little friendly reminder says that, okay, I even want to step further to say, well, you can get your diploma, because we can't hold a diploma, but we can say you're not gonna walk across the stage. And we can say that you have to, your transcript may not be sent to your college or university that you need to have it done, sent to. So, and that would have to be specified, I think, in a policy to say, this is what our policy is to do this. But I'm thinking if we're saying that if we would pay for the second class, it might incentivize them to do this, so we can get that extra point.
Okay, so are we gonna pay for one full class their senior year? Cause I think Mr. Collins is onto something, a lot of the seniors take way more than one. So we need to be very clear in our policy.
Yes.
About how many we would
How many
pay
we
for.
would
How
pay
many
for
will,
it.
and I think we need to be more clear just on the parent side of things, cause I have mispaid Southwest this semester. Cause I went up and said, what do I owe? And I paid them what they told me, only to find out later I overpaid. And as a mom, I did not know what any of this cost.
I did that last year.
So I truly think we need to communicate with parents what the school district is paying and what they're expected to pay. Cause that's not been given to me.
And Brenda said that happened to him,
All right, so what, as parents, what do you pay?
Okay, so for a class that's just a 3-hour class, like psychology, I paid $100.
Okay.
For dual credit biology, that includes a lab, you pay $150.
All right.
But don't worry, they told me an extra $100, and me not knowing, I just paid it and didn't question it until I got a bill that said I owed $50 more. And in the bill is when I started quizzing and we found out I had been mischarged.
Last year, Lillian went to Southwest to get her parking decal and her ID, and that's all she was gonna get. She took my debit card, and I looked a little bit later, and there was a charge for $360.
Jeez.
And I said, how much is a parking decal? And so anyway, she said that they told her that's how much she owed, and it was for the dual enrollment stuff, so she paid it.
This just needs to be
But
communicated.
then we found out that they had not received the payment from it was early in the semester, I don't think they had received the payment from the school yet.
All
So-
we need to do is clear up communication.
So-
So everybody will know what's charged, how much the class
Yeah,
is,
so anyway,
who's
I'm-
paying what, and how much the parents pay.
Even with communication, well, if a student walks up or a parent walks up to that office to pay, they're gonna look up the student account.
And they're gonna tell you everything that's on it.
But the parent went and resourced. Well, I think
Yeah,
I
a
paid.
parent would know, I mean, a parent would know, but if they're gonna stop them from proceeding, they're gonna tell them that balance. They don't have anywhere on the student record that says this is coming from somebody else.
Yeah, it's a
This
dual
is coming from
enrollment.
somebody else.
And mine
It's just-
wasn't
yeah, it's just a
waiting on
month.
y'all. Mine wasn't waiting on y'all. They had her enrolled in an accelerated class that she wasn't taking. They just had her in
So-
something that was like we're not in. But I didn't.
So at the
even know.
beginning, when a child enrolls into the class, what do they get? What does a parent get to know how much?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, so how do we, and I think that's the question that's
Let me-
being asked, is how do you?
Okay. So what we do when, we know the total, given the total cost, it goes back to, parents don't really know what to pay until the district do their part. So when the district do their part and what we pay, and there's your balance. So they let parents know this is what you owe. So that's what it is, but I got this information today. Our district, Tina, correct me if I'm wrong, our district pays $110 for the course material fee and $50 per class that a student is enrolled in. So I asked the question, I dealt with a big and our contact person at Southwest. What is the tuition? That's $50, but do a credit from all five students. $50 per credit hour for all our courses, plus $110 course fee. All right, all our courses are 3-hour courses except for general biology 1 and 2, which are 4-hour courses. So it's $50 per credit hour plus your $110 fee. All right, and we pay the 110 and the 50, so basically it's 160, and then that leaves the parent balance pay.
Which is 50?
Which is 100 for a 3-hour class and 150 for 4 hours.
And so when you have a student taking multiple, and that's 100 times the number of classes, or 150, it's more, it's 4 hours.
And just for timing, we paid at North Pike, this year we paid on October 2nd, 2025 for the fall semester. So if anybody asks for their balance or walk in there to get anything else, and they tell the student the balance, we paid October 2nd of 2025, once they told us what we owed with all these schedules. And we paid March 6th of 2025 for all the schedules in the spring. Kids have been going since the fall. They go in August, and they go in January or February in the spring. So that's several months that if you walk in there for any other reason, they don't have our payment yet because we don't have our bill yet.
Like, the parents don't get a bill, like, I didn't get a bill this semester, but Brooke told me, you gotta go by there and pay. I think her teachers told her. And then, her teachers, after I did that, she knew I had paid it, her teacher said, you still have a balance. So that was that $50 that I did get in the mail later.
So
So it's just a complicated mess.
Southwest informs us throughout the semester, beginning what a student's balance is. All right, of course, in the fall, they tell us it's by the 1st of November, all balances have to be paid, in order to be able to register for the spring. And I think it's somewhere in April, late March, that balance has to be
About right
paid for the
now.
spring. So they're trying to get those, they try to get the money as early as possible. And then some parents wanna know what they
Upfront.
need to pay, what they wanna go on and pay and get it out of the way.
They need a budget.
So, right, so, and parents have been doing it, so that, but throughout the semester, 2 or 3 times a semester, they would send us a list of students' names for over balance. And of course, that may be what your knowledge, right? So our
Right.
teachers start telling, okay, students, get your money paid, get your money paid. So you don't get down to the end of the semester, you can't register for the next semester, or you can't take your exam, because it's another thing, if you have not paid your balance, it's not exam time, you can't take your final exam. So you get in class for nothing, so you don't get the grade. And in that case, we as a district would have been to send our money as Tina gave those dates, and we wouldn't have lost out on money if the kid doesn't pay their balance, and we've already paid our portion. So the
So we're
teachers
paying
help
for
push.
class, nobody's getting credit for it.
And, right, so the teachers push it, reminding students, make sure your parents get a balance.
I was gonna say, it just seems like we should set it out in the beginning, so
That's
they
also
know
why
what
this is
they're
upfront.
paying.
So I can say this here, based on like what we have here, we can let parents know that pretty much, if a 3-hour course, you're gonna owe $100. If you're, and if it's a 4-hour course, you're gonna owe $150. If it's more than one course times however many courses. We can say that at the beginning, and we do have senior meetings, at the beginning of the school, and we'll make sure we cover that. We have through grade level meetings, and this kind of stuff we cover through grade level. So when we talking to parents, we can cover this with them and give them this information. And know that your child has been doing the Roman 3-hour course, this is what you're gonna pay per course, a 4-hour course, and they can go in and pay it, and then when the district send this part in, then it'll be taken care of.
I think that would be
I was
helpful.
gonna say, wouldn't it be more helpful to do it that way, and that way you can collect the monies up front?
But some parents.
And get it done and just say, okay, if they're enrolling in the class in August, then say sometime in the middle of August, 15 days later, the end of the month, you need to have this paid.
But it's confusing because it goes to Southwest and it doesn't go through North Pike. It's a little complicated.
But if the money's collected from us, then can we just,
So I don't know if you.
I don't think
Mr. Collins,
we
you
don't
want to collect
collect Southwest
money?
Florida.
Ma'am.
You don't want to start collecting Southwest money and receiving that. You don't want to receive something that's not written to you.
Right.
And you didn't put,
Mr.
you
White.
put a date on them, they may not be able to pay it, and then some kids gonna feel, okay, we gotta do it by now, and they know they have that extra time.
I say they could break it down 50, that helps some families.
All right, let me, if I could, see if I can steer us to where we can make, a decision if the board can give us a directive. I think Ms. Taplin's, intent, all those things that we mentioned about the money and all that's, we can fix that. Or we can do better, I'm not gonna say we can fix it, because you're still working with another entity at Southwest.
Right.
But if our goal is to increase participation in these dual enrollment classes, can the district afford to
Right.
basically pay those fees so there's no parent involvement in terms of going to Southwest and paying anything because the district's covering the cost? And if you would like for us to research that, it is budget time. So
Mhm.
we can easily come back to you in May and say, this is what it would cost us for X amount of students to cover all classes, for those students, and we'll calculate it in several different ways, whether or not we pay for one course, pay for 2, pay for 3, pay for 4, we can get that to you. If we're spending roughly $20,000 a year now, we're not talking an exorbitant amount of money. But whether it's 20,000 and we increase that to 100,000, then the $80,000 has got to come from somewhere.
Right.
And so the budget belongs to you. If you direct us to find that $80,000, we will find it and we will tell you where we found it, and you can determine whether or not, it's worth the cost to cover that for the students. That's very easy for us to do. So we will, if you direct us to do that, Tina and I will start working on that, Mr. Collins, and in May, we'll say, this is what we can do, this is what it's going to cost, and then if you direct us to do that, we'll put that in your budget. As superintendent, I have no issue whatsoever with covering the cost if that's what the board wants to do, and that's something that we can afford to do. Cover the cost for all students, regardless of their ability to pay. That helps the students, obviously,
Right.
and it also helps the district because we're getting those points that may be left on the table now.
And if we can't cover all of it, I would say, could we come up with a plan to incentivize, to help us get more points? Like, is there a way to do it, even if we can't afford to do all of it, is there a way to encourage more participation that would help us?
We will certainly do that, and we look at different options, because we're gonna make the assumption that if we're paying for it, that our numbers are going to increase.
Oh, they would.
Let me,
But we want to make sure that they increase with those that can make a C or higher.
Yes, I agree.
So if that be the board's will for us to do that, we will do that, and I'm all for it. I won't speak for Tina, but we'll figure it out.
let me ask Mr. Collins a question. So, do you believe, we have a lot of students at the high school that are candidates for dual enrollment classes that are not taking them because of the cost?
That's a
Yes,
great
Okay.
We definitely.
You think the cost is a deterrent for, okay,
I think-
that's,
Now, would it be major? I can't say that, but I do know that we have some students we have some students who take one, and I'll be honest with you, we have some students who we struggle with getting a payment. And I don't, everyone has their own financial situations. The students get in the class, and they probably, even just that $100, according to what's going on at home, they can't get it. We have to push and beg and pray, and so we happen to do that. And those kids won't take another class, and then the parents not gonna let them if they can't afford it. But I do think if that's the case, we will see an increase in the number.
okay.
Cause that was I was gonna ask, like, if you know you got kids that's gonna come in, take these 3-4 classes, not saying that we don't wanna, we can't help them, but look at yours, that the kids that's wanna take them, they only take in one, those are the ones you put your interest on for this payment. Because you're gonna have some, they gonna go in there, they gonna take them 4 courses, their parents gonna go over there, they gonna pay for them 4 courses, without no doubt, but then you're gonna have some, like Mr. Collins said, they take one, and they struggle to pay for that one. Now, them the ones you wanna pick up and add into this. Because when you say pay for everybody, that's a little steep there, because some gonna do it. Cause I'm a parent, I say, if I had a kid in high school and she was taking dual enrollment, I'm gonna go pay my bill.
Right.
And I'm done. But my counterpart in Mike can't do that. So you go pay that kid so we can get these points, cause this one is taken care of.
Right,
So-
if there's some scholarship, or I don't know how you can do that
Yeah.
fairly. If they're on reduced and free lunch,
Mm.
That's a
you
good
know,
idea.
I'm just, y'all be creative, think all over.
Obviously, I think academic history is
Yeah.
going to be.
I think
And
we
Mr.
have a list of
Collins-
criteria,
Yeah.
we can have a list of criteria.
Yes,
that
but
we
Mr.
can go
Collins
by.
would know that because he know his students that struggles to get these classes done. So he's the key person. Once he give you that list, you got your kids. He know the kids that struggle, and he know the kids' parents gonna go over there to Southwest, they're gonna pay that bill, and that's it, and they ready for the next semester.
Well, Mr. White, I tell you, I will just make this suggestion. We will come back to you on the financial side in May, to let you know what it will cost. And then at that point, if the board wants us to proceed, we'll put that in your budget that you'll vote on in June. That will give us the month of June to come up with those criteria, and we can bring that back to you in July and be ready for the school year. Before we get to that point, I think we need to look at it financially and see if we're even going in this direction. Getting the criteria in place, I think, will be fairly easy. So we'll do that, and we'll have that ready for you in May.
Thank you, I think that's good.
The other side of this is I wanna ask about the CTE side. I know you're moving, but tell me how, cause there's some points that we can pick up too on the CTE side. So can you help explain that to the board as well? So I don't mess it up?
Okay, so CTE comes in with national certifications and work keys, but everybody takes the work keys, but CTE by itself is national certifications, and that comes in on the acceleration part. It's in the same category as dual credit and, AP classes. So we're included in that side, and it's calculated the same way. So you could have a student in either business and marketing or welding in our building take their national cert, plus they could be on the high school side taking a dual credit class or an AP class. So that,
Do we
they could
pay-
help.
Do we pay for the national certification?
The state pays
The
for
state
those,
pays.
that's through CTE.
I
But my
got you.
question was gonna be how, because we're kind of limited to the number of students we can get in as well, right?
Right.
So what is our capacity for the student enrollment side? Are we at capacity now, or do we have room to grow, or?
Not without expanding, whether with teachers or other programs. And as far as national certifications go, there are hundreds of national certifications out there. But the State Workforce Investment Board, is the SWIB board, they decide what counts in the accountability model. They decide what NDE can offer in those CTE programs. So, you know, we only have 2 programs that fall under the SWIB board's national cert. But there's, like I said, there's more out there, in different CTE programs.
Right.
Dr. Smith,
Yes, sir.
Ms. White, if I may, with the new structure of the accountability model, even the word acceleration is gone away, and there's one big block called readiness.
Readiness.
So there are other things, even though we're not able to offer maybe more CTC, for instance, you mentioned work keys. Now the work keys, kids can get points, everything's about a point, from a quarter of a point all the way up. So we just tested out our juniors with the work keys last week. We got our scores back within a couple of days. We still within the window, Coach Martin, and we still have money we have, prep material. That we got some kids that were verbal kids, we wanna go back and retest them before the window closes, and see if they can get a higher score, because now you get points for students if they score platinum, gold, silver, or bronze. Bronze used to didn't help us.
Right.
Also with your graduation, there are different points now, if you are, so many points if you're traditional route, if you're CTC route, if you're academic route, if you're the distinguished route, it goes up. So this new structure of accountability model, this readiness category, all this one big block of stuff, you can get points almost for kids, whatever they do, there's the, ASVAB, according when they get a certain score. So now it's about not just a pass or fail, it's about what level they score and how many points you can get. So right now, we're just trying to capitalize on as many points and increase as just where we can. So even if we can't offer more CTC, we're just trying to now put more prep into the ASVAB and more prep into the, work keys, and of course ACT, just trying to capture as many points as possible, making sure as many students on that distinguished and academic level of CTC route as much as possible. It's a task. It's a task, but the district has been gracious enough to like pay for the work keys, pay for the work, the prep material, and pay for the AV, conversation about possibly paying more for doing credit. These are the type of conversation that's gonna happen, that's gonna build accountability.
Okay, so in saying that, we have a retreat coming up. Maybe we can have our administrators, when they come to do their reports, is to talk about, on a data-driven report, not the feel-good stuff, but actually on performance, on data-driven. How are they going to, what are they gonna do different? How are they gonna move based upon the data that they have? Present that to us so we can see. Also, the consultants we're using, are they really helping our children based upon past performance? So we can see if we are having the right people in the right places. So maybe we wanna look at that as well as part of their presentation. So we'll know, because we need to start asking some hard questions and making sure we're getting the data that we need and making the right choices, because we squeeze the dollars till they holler. And you all are pulling out your hairs, seriously. So, I mean, we are in an unusual predicament, so we need to try to figure out the best best way we can to get the most points we can, being the most economical we possibly can be as well, because we have all these projects that we want to do. And not because we're feel-good projects, but because there are things that need to be done. We want our children to be at the top with everybody else. We want them to be with Clinton, we want them to be with Pearl and Ocean Springs and those people as well. There's nothing to say that we can't. We can't let the finances hold us down. We gotta think critically and how we're going to figure it out. If it means that we have to ask for sponsorships, based upon where we're located and the things, the way the market looks, we have to figure out where our children going. Do we have any kind of testing in place to figure out where our children's interests actually are? And I know we should be doing something.
Yeah.
We started at the junior high.
We started the junior high, okay.
And that's part of their,
It's
Career
it's
readiness
called
part,
individual success plan that they start in junior high.
yeah,
And
I
it
couldn't get it
carries
out.
through,
That's ISP.
and it's reevaluated every year.
Okay, so are we tracking those kids once they graduate that first year to see if they actually, where they're going? If they were in CTE, or if they were military bound, or if they were college bound, do we have them in the right place?
On the CTE side, when the kids graduate, we have to find out where they are in that fall semester. And there's categories, they're either enrolled in college, they went post-secondary, military. If they're in a job related to the program that they completed at the CTC, and then there's a category of other. That's all part of the CTE audit. That data is submitted in the fall, late fall, we have to submit that to MDE. That's part of the Perkins fund that comes from the federal money. So that data, every CTE center in the state's gotta submit that data, where those graduates are in that fall the following fall semester. And then that's all kept tracked by the state.
But that's only on the CTE side, right? That's not on our traditional students as well, correct? So,
I
we
think
may
the
need to go a
only
step
way
farther.
We could track that on the academic side, would be where we're sending our transcripts.
Exactly.
And obviously, we would know, if they joined the military or not.
I mean, I just feel like we gotta think outside the box. And it's not just about getting points, but of course, all we know our communities look at is, okay, whether we are A, B, C, D, or F. So, and based upon how cut scores going, and we're not arguing against the cut scores, but we just gotta play the game better and figure out what's the best way to get our children acclimated to what they need to be doing.
I think to sum it up, maybe, you know, we were an A district, and we don't feel like we have slipped academically. We don't feel like we're worse than we were when we were an A district, but because the accountability model's changed, the testing has changed, to the public, it's gonna appear that we have
They
slipped.
don't understand that, right?
And that's, I think that's the main concern we have. We still believe in our school. We think we're doing a good job.
Yes.
But because the rules of the game have changed on us, to the general public, it's gonna look like, oh, well, what happened? Y'all were great. And now, you know, we may still be great, but we're the fear of the unknown, I guess.
I will agree with that. I think that's important because obviously, everybody knows you're an A when you're an A.
Right.
Usually back to a B. The only point that I would take would be, you've got to look at what we've done historically.
Yeah.
And historically, we've not been an A. Historically, we've not been a B year in and year out. We have been between a C and a B. And then when you talk about our junior high, if you look historically there, unfortunately, they have struggled between a C and a D, and they became a B 1 year and then fell back. So, the point's taken, I think you're absolutely right. When you get to an A like we were able to achieve, and then you fall back to a B, in some folks' eyes, the world may be falling in, something's going wrong. But I just don't see it that way. I think we are striving, moving forward, doing our best to to achieve the A and maintain it. It's getting more difficult, obviously. Evidence of that obviously is at the high school, where we have ridden that high of being an A, for several years. But these accountability test, cut scores, are gonna eat into that some. That's not to say that the high school's doing anything differently or anything worse. We're feeling that across the district, across the state. But your point is taken, and I like to look at it historically.
But also, Dr. Smith, you gotta think about, historically, we have not had the leadership that we have now either. So I think that plays an important role in it as well. You've done a lot of
I'm
things
gonna take that as a
differently.
compliment, Mr.
I do hope you do,
And we just want to
because,
direct the money as best we can
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help the process.
so I think historically, you look
As
at
we're
it.
looking at budgets.
You have to say that there are several things that fall into that as well. And I do think that leadership has a lot to do with it because it begins at the top. Not saying anything negatively against anyone, but I'm just laying the cards on the table the way they were. We have totally different dynamics in our board. I've been here 23 years, long time, maybe time for me to go home. But at any rate, as long as I'm here, I'm gonna do what I possibly can do, and I've watched the change in the dynamics of how things have been done and how this board has addressed academically as well as our extracurricular. We look at the whole child and the whole district. In the past, we didn't always do that, not with the 23 years that I had served on this board. It hadn't always been that way. And I'll take the flack from anyone who gives it to me, because I can give it back. But, so I'm proud of where we are, and I want us to continue to grow. But I don't want us to be complacent about the things that we're doing. We have to move with the change in the time, because some things are changing and we're just kind of sitting still on them. So our goal is always to make sure that we provide the best we can provide. What your favorite word was? Excellence. So we're striving for this excellence that you talked
That's my
about.
favorite word.
Yeah.
Where it's commonplace.
Oh,
No,
it's
commonplace.
commonplace and
That was
excellence.
Mr. Jackson's favorite word.
Well,
I think
at
it's
any rate,
commonplace.
so, I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right.
But we had budget time, so, you know.
Well, I think that was good discussion, and, Dr. Smith, we'll look forward to hearing a report financially from y'all next month, and we'll go from there.
And I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Have, the district ever considered getting an extra technology person? Cause I look at Roland does a lot with these schools.
Yes, ma'am. So to give you a little background, I'm not sure if you were on the board, you may have been. Well, I won't say historically, for the last several years, we did have two. We had a director and then, just a technician. So this last budget cycle, I believe, we took those dollars and diverted those to a third party, which has been helping Roland this year. So, that was a budgetary decision that we made collectively, if you recall that. But we will have that built into the budget for our second person. Now, just keep in mind, we can't, well, let me just say this, it's gonna be very difficult to afford both. We can't, pay a third party and bring in a warm body. I don't think the dollars are gonna work, so we gotta choose between the
So
two.
do we need that third, party if
Right
we
now,
put a
I
technology
won't speak
person
for
in here?
Roland, but I think, he's gonna tell you,
I feel like now, specifically when it comes to, I'll speak for workshops and things of that nature. So we know AI is getting really big, and they're doing a lot of workshops and stuff as far as that. And it would be great to be able to attend a lot of these workshops, to really get a feel for AI and how to implement it into the district. I can't really do things like that because even though I do have Greg, and I'm grateful for that company and what they do, if something was to go down at the school, there's no one physically here to take care of those
Right.
issues.
Mhm.
So it is great to have someone to help me out on some of the things that I can't tend to at the moment, network side wise. But as far as being on campus, the day-to-day things, it would definitely help to have someone here.
So a day-to-day person will be more important right now than a third source.
Specifically
outside.
with like state testing, if two schools at the same time go down,
Ooh,
I
yeah,
can't
that's
be at
good.
two places
Right.
at once, or the more tedious things like a smart board glitching or having issues, or a PC not running correctly, I may not be able to get to those issues at the time because I'm working on something bigger. But having a second person, you know, to delegate, to do those smaller things would definitely help.
The only thing I would add to that, and Roland and I have talked about this many times, I'm not opposed to a second person, never have been. But if that second person is not capable of doing those things that the third party has been doing, then we've just got an extra technician. And so what I would like for Roland and whoever this second person may be able to do is to handle that themselves. That's what we're trying to get to. So we need more than just a technician. Well, we need somebody that can work cooperatively with Roland to where we're not calling an outside person to come in and help us weekly.
But that's when you hire somebody with some experience.
That's correct. And if we do that, then we're gonna have to pay them. So that goes back to your budgetary things. If this is important to the board, then, we'll proceed with that. I have no issue with that whatsoever, and again, Roland and I have talked about this. Our goal eventually is to get away from the third party. That's where we wanna be. We wanna be able to solve things within, inside the district. But I will tell you, if you look at that third party bill, we're not at that point yet, because they're here and we're paying them. So they're here often. So that I don't think, I can tell you exactly how much money we've spent calling the third party. I will just say to you, if you're looking at a salary of, say, $50,000, we'll just throw that number out there. That 50,000 plus the third party is not gonna work budgetarily. And I think Tina would agree with that. So I'm willing to go whichever direction this kind of leads us. So I'm not opposed to the second person. But if we're just gonna have a second person here that's cutting on computers, I'm opposed to that.
Oh, I am.
You
So
say
I
I'm
guess-
opposed to that.
I
That's
guess
why you do-
a question I
That's
would
why
have-
you do a job description
Right.
and you tell them what you're looking for, and when you have your interview, you talk to them, and that's when you know how knowledgeable they are of the job title.
I guess the question I would have is, and we're close to budget time, let's just see how much we've spent on the third party over the last year and how that would compare to a full-time salary. Let's just, let's start there, and if it's close, let's consider a person. If it's not, you know, if we've saved a lot of money, we can discuss that and see, you know.
But Roland said he made a very important statement. If you're state testing and two schools go down at one time, and this third party source is not available, what happens?
I agree, and this is a huge district to only have one person. It's,
That's true.
What happens?
Okay, can I do one more thing on?
I guess so.
Since we're talking money, where are we with our second, police person? Can we look at doing 2 part-time people or doing another full-time person? I know we talked about one other person, and I don't know what we.
I think the second one is still in the current budget, obviously. I've had conversations with a couple of folks, that are interested in the position, one in particular that I won't name publicly.
Yeah.
Still kind of waiting on that, but the dollars are there.
Okay.
So,
I just think we
and
need to
that's
do
been
something
posted
there.
on our vacancy list now for months. It's still posted now,
Yes,
if
sir.
I'm not mistaken. And I can count on one hand how many applications we've had in the last 5 or 6 months. And none of those, I will say this publicly, do you want around your children? We would have filled it by now.
I am licensed to carry, okay, so just in case. All right.
All right, thank you for the discussion. Anything else before we adjourn?
I have several signatures.
Okay, we'll go ahead, we can adjourn the meeting and then we'll sign all the documents. Do I have a motion that we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Dr. Smith, can I start the signing, because I need to leave?